Welcome back. Thank you guys for tuning in to the YAAACE Time Podcast. Once again, we are back. We are in season 2. Happy to be back here with you live from YAAACE home base here in the Jane and Finch community. I am here once again with my co-host, G.O.A.T.
What's up, everybody? G.O.A.T. here. I'm also one of the community resource engagement workers here at YAAACE for the community safety team. Super excited to be back. I know this is going to be an amazing episode, so stay tuned.
Yep. And a long-awaited episode. We've been trying to put this one together for a minute now. Our guest today is Drew Ebanks of On Point Basketball, founder of On Point Basketball, and an OG in the Toronto basketball community. If you know anything in the Canadian basketball community, if you know anything about Grassroots Canadian basketball, then you know about On Point Basketball. Drew, welcome to the program.
Appreciate you for having me, man. It's been
through.
Well overdue.
Yes.
Nice to meet you. Man, this is so dope. I mean, I look at the set. I'm so excited to be here, for what the community represents, YAAACE and what they have done in the community and what you've done as far as the media and bringing them to a next level, man. I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. But, so we're here to talk a little bit about you, about your background. We see you in the gym all the time. Or we see somebody wearing an On Point shirt with a camera, like at almost every event. What was the first thing? Like, where did that start? The love for basketball. Did you play earlier on in like where did the love of basketball begin for you?
Yeah, it's weird because growing up, we grew up in hockey. I'm an old guy, so it was street hockey, floor hockey.
Yeah,
I don't think I started playing basketball till about grade 8. And that's when went to Lawrence Heights Middle School, like on the edge of, as they would call it, jungle. And then Dufferin Street, grew up around Dufferin and Orifice area, like right near Yorkdale Mall. And like the guys that were playing basketball, like I couldn't play with those guys, like Drex and Dixon and these cats. But I quickly got up to speed and started playing the sport just from there, like grade 7, 8, just fell in love with the game. It was just super fun to be a part of it, learning a new sport. Ended up, not even really playing too much there because we moved to the Vaughan area. We moved north of Steeles and ended up having a pretty good high school career playing the game at Langstaff Secondary. And then Bayview, and I was an all-star, York Region all-star, pretty much throughout.
Nice.
Yeah, you can get it in a little bit,
Did a 1, 2.
Had some game, Nickname was Spud back then, so yeah. Grade 9, I think the name Spud came in grade 9. I was like 5'4", and then I looked like a potato, a big round head and everything. And then grade
not from Spud Webb. I thought maybe you were jumping out the
gym
it was
at
a little
5'4",
bit of that,
so just a little bit.
Okay.
And then grade 10, I think it was between 9 and 10 that summer. Then I grew to like 6 feet, and then I could throw down, and still called Spud. To this day, there's some people that don't even know my real name.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They call me Spud.
That's
so
how it goes
it's
sometimes.
Stuck all the time. But yeah, the love of the game has just been incredible, man. What it's done and the things I've seen, the places I've been able to go through basketball.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, so I definitely wanted to get into the next part where I actually have a background in journalism, went to Carleton University, but you studied broadcasting at Seneca and went on to reporting for the Global TV. So was On Point Basketball a dream for you? Like, was that the goal when you got your diploma?
It's funny because I've been working for the bank for a long time. I'm not going to say the amount of years, but it was flexible in the fact that I was able to go back to school and take my radio and television and get my radio and television diploma. So broadcasting, I think after I stopped playing, I played 1 year at York, had a great time, but we had a family business. So I kind of was helping out with that. But, after that, I was like, you know what? If I'm not playing ball, like I want to be involved in it. And when I looked at guys on TV like John Saunders, rest in peace, Stuart Scott, rest in peace, ESPN, You know, a lot of guys that I looked up to, even like guys like Howard Cosell, old time broadcasters. I was like, I could envision myself being on TV talking about hoops. So that's why I decided to go back to school. And I was working, and TD allowed me to take my course as well. So when I wasn't working, I was in school. When I wasn't in school, I was working at the bank, like downtown. We just made it work. So I was able to kind of, get my diploma, my radio and television from there. But it was a love of basketball, and then not really being able to finish out playing, which was, it's funny. I look back and I'm like, wow, I really, knowing me and the way I love the game, how did I let that kind of just go, where I only played 1 year at York? Like, I thought I would be so heartbroken. But I think I realized my purpose. I mean, I'm 6 feet. I mean, what am I could have probably played, maybe I thought about going to the States. My dad was in Boston. I thought about going there before ending, like continuing it. I just ended up staying. I was my mom, a family. I was a family guy.
Holding you back.
Didn't want to leave. So yeah, just going into broadcasting allowed me to stay involved in the game.
I think everything happens for a reason.
100%.
But was there ever a time where you were like, nah, this is too much. Like, I need to pick a lane. Like, have you ever how'd you overcome those thoughts?
Like, as far as being in the basketball space?
Well, basketball, you were going to school for media, but then at the same time you were working at the bank. So that can be a lot on any student, never alone if you're working, I'm guessing full-time, was it?
Well, at that time when I went back, I kind of cut back on my hours to do it. I actually, to this day, I don't understand how, because it wasn't a banking course, it wasn't finance,
how
but they were super flexible back then, to the point where I was able to do both. So I knew I did not plan to be there this long, but I have to respect, the bank has allowed me to live a pretty good life, property, being able, have a car, it's helped me with my business too, to fund it. So I've been lucky there, but I know deep down, and I'm still working at it and working on it. My love is to really do basketball full time, and like just really delve into it to the point where we're doing even bigger things, just because the time you can put into it, you need that time, but you just got to make it happen. You got to pay the bills. You can't just quit and be like, yo, I'm going to go draw or do whatever. You got to make sure you can pay. I'm very practical.
There's a plan. There has to be a plan in place.
I'm not very like, I can be spontaneous, but I still know, hey, end of the month, beginning of the month, you got to make sure you're good. You're in your space. You can pay your car payment, things like that.
Because it will be taken out of your bank account.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming. Every first of the month, you're like, whoa.
Yeah, and they don't care what the situation is. It's coming. So we've known each other for a while. I don't know if I told you, Kitty. We've done quite a bit of work together on a number of things. I think back to the first time we started working together, I think it was 2009. Right?
Yeah.
Right? So since 2009, and we did a tournament every single year that Drew would do commentary for. So it's been a while.
Amazing.
It's been a while. I remember Corey Joseph bringing the trophy back to Toronto, and I shot that with you as well.
Yeah, those are your pictures, right?
Yeah,
so clean. Clean.
Shot that. But so I'm saying that to say, like, I've seen you commentating a number of times in a number of different scenarios with a number of different teams. The question is, how have you been able to stay so neutral over the time? Like how do you maintain your the balance and objectivity,
especially with the passion?
And when where it's easy to associate yourself with a specific team or get attached to a specific coach or whatever, but on the broadcast you've always been very neutral and called it evenly on both sides. Like how are you able to do that?
I don't know, maybe I get that from my mom, because she kind of made me worldly. She's not here right now, but she just taught me to read. Thank you. To read a lot. and to be balanced, so to understand different perspectives. So yeah, she would get the paper, Toronto Star, delivered every weekend. By the time Sunday came, Sunday night, she would have gone through pretty much every section. Wow. So for me, it was like, yeah, just being balanced. Don't look at just the entertainment section. Don't look at just the sports section. Check out the business. Check out. So yeah, for me, and there's a lot of politics in Toronto basketball. If we want to go into it, we can. I try to stay away from that. For me, it's always about kind of like, people might say I straddle the fence or whatever. No, I'm just trying to work for the kids. To me, it's about the kids, giving them exposure, giving them opportunity. There's a lot of egos in the sport, and that's kind of the bad part about our sport. It's like, you got to really, why are you doing this? Are you doing this for yourself, or are you doing this for the kids? A lot of times I get told, even on our social media, Drew, even by family and friends, why aren't you on there? Why isn't your face up on the On Point Instagram more? You're the face, you're the guy. And I've always been like hesitant to that, because I'm always like, it's about the kids. I'm not really that type of person. I've been on TV reporting and things like that, so it doesn't faze me that way. But in a way, I do need to listen to that, because I preach about branding, and I talk to kids about branding and marketing, doing seminars on that. And I'm like, I'm not following my own advice. So in the last year and a half and stuff, I've been kind of like, I really got to build my personal brand, get myself back out in front, letting people know, hey, there's a voice to this channel. Right. But again, it's to me, I love to work with everybody. So if I'm like biased, then this group won't work with me, or this group, because they're saying like Drew's coming from a place that's not, he's not really looking out for me. Right. The other day somebody brought a question up about one program and how come they got this, and I was like, no, actually every program had that opportunity. We had content for all of them. Right. It wasn't just one. So I never want to make people feel like I'm not being fair. And I think, that's one thing. Some people may say it's a detriment, the fact that I don't pick sides, or I don't pick one rep program or AAU program, or I don't pick one prep program to side with. I just feel like I'm a vehicle for everybody. And like, if you see my DMs, you'll understand. My phone never stops. Kids, can you share this? Right. Can you post this? Collaborate. And if it's for the kids, I'm like, whatever you need, I got you. Accept.
Yeah. And reposted a number of stuff that we post as well on YAAACE. And I know
y'all are like family. Man, you don't even have to. He'll ask me for stuff, and I'm like, come on, dude. Like, come on.
Why are you asking me? Just
tell me what you need, and that's what I do. Good people is what it's about. And when I come across good people, I treat them well. They treat me well. The energy's just there. Like, he could call me anytime and say, Drew, can you come through? And I'll be like, yo, I hope so. I'm going to try my best if I'm available. Facts. And if I can shift around, I'll be there. If I say to him, yo, I need, can you come film something, or can you help me with a graphic or anything like that? I know he's got my back, and Chrissy's got my back. And YAAACE has been like, I wish I could be here more. And hopefully we can do some more stuff with On Point like we did in the past. We've done, where we've been here for different events.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about the synergy between YAAACE and On Point and
community.
From the past. Yeah,
I'm community. So Jones, when you look at like an icon in the Toronto, not even basketball, like community space. Like, he's a guy, I don't even know everything he can do. I just know he's a connector. And I know that the stuff he's brought, I'm looking at the set and I'm like, this is better than On Point has. And part of it is obviously you and your technical abilities with, video equipment and what you've built over the years, but also he's reached out to make things happen. And the program has given you being under the YAAACE banner. So for me, it's like, anything that I can support that's doing great for the community. Listen, man, the black community, it's not even the black community, it's this communities in disadvantaged areas. Life is not fair, and we need to even the playing field. Kids learn differently. Some love the schoolwork. Some like music. Some like photography. Some learn quicker than others. our system is not adapting to the different ways kids learn, and we need to be better at that. And especially kids in, like disadvantaged areas. I'm not even say poor, because we're rich in spirit, but it's just the finances are not there. And it's a shame, because there's so much talent in an area like Jane and Finch. There's so much talent that is being it's underserved, and kids are just, their dreams are just dying. So I'm hoping, and I know you guys have made many, many, many hundreds, if not thousands of dreams stay alive. It's got to be to the greater Toronto, though, and Canada, that we are doing a disservice to these kids, because we're not giving them an even playing field. So for me, working with you guys, it's just been a no-brainer, man, because I just see, especially when you add in the education part of it and try to get the kids to understand the importance and get their math skills up, get their social skills up, connect them with politicians, things like that, then for me, it's there's no ifs, ands, or buts there. Whatever I can do to help, I'm here.
Yeah. So just to lean a little bit on something that you just said there. So the statistics show that it's only 3% of kids in underserved communities like Jane and Finch, in the GTA, is only 3% of these kids that play organized sports.
Right.
Wow.
I know.
You would think it's more.
Right.
You would think it's more, but it's that's what the stats show. Here at YAAACE, we try and combat that by providing access to not just basketball programs, but to a number of programs. Our robotics program, our numeracy and literacy program, which is essentially free tutoring that we have for grade school kids. Our programs that Katie Atu is a part of, also the community safety side.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So there's all these things that we're doing. Is there anything that you're doing or On Point is doing to help provide also some access to these younger kids?
Most of our activities are on the court, but my goal is for On Point to have a foundation, and that's kind of where my next move is. Before that, what I've done is I've spoken in underserved areas to the kids. I grew up in a single parent household, and it's to give them hope, to no, just because you don't have a dad around doesn't mean you can't act right, doesn't mean you can't speak right, doesn't mean that you can't be smart, doesn't mean that you can't stay out of trouble. Don't make excuses. If you have one parent, maybe you might not even have 0 parents, but your life is what you're going to make it. So that's my thing when I go and I speak to young people in disadvantaged areas. I'm like, don't make excuses. Go for what you want to do, and there's resources that you can get help to understand. And if it is, maybe you do like basketball, you couldn't play, as we talked before airing, there's a lot of things you can do within the sport. Training, media, mental health that helps athletes. There's so many
Owning
areas.
the team.
Say that again.
Owning the team.
We did say that. Owning the team. Why not?
Definitely.
I mean, for me growing up, it was I wanted to be something. I wanted to make my mark. That's why I started On Point. The reason I started was because everything in Canada is about hockey. And it is what it is. We're in a cold country. This is what it is. But I saw so many basketball stories coming up and so much talent. I was like, you know what? I want to talk about them. I want to show what they're doing. And I literally just started with a point and shoot camera. I was working at Hoop Dome, and they would come in, guys like Anthony Bennett, Tyler Ennis, you name it. They would come in. And I would just say, hey, can I speak to you after the game? Can I interview you? Literally hold my camera up and just record them, throw it up on YouTube. And I was like, it's 20,000, 30,000, 50,000 views. I'm like, there's something here.
Yes.
And it was just because I knew we had to show these stories. And how I knew social media was coming up at the time, how I knew there was a change was when I first started posting stuff, people would like it. They might make a comment here and there. Most of the time they would like it. But when I saw people reposting, then I realized how much pride. People were just waiting to have more pride for the successes that we were having in basketball. You know what I mean? So for me, it's as we evolved, yes, we're going to be doing even more community stuff. We'll be doing more of those speaking engagements. We're even, I've heard, and it's crazy, like some of the kids don't even have socks to play basketball in.
Yeah.
And you know, a couple years ago, my cousin works in Rexdale, Jordan, shout him out, and I had extra shoes, and you know, I've still got more that I could probably give away, but I think around 4 boxes of shoes just from dealing with the brands.
Yeah.
I brought them over to the community center, and kids, I'm a size 12. There was kids there with that probably were a size 8, probably size 9. They took them anyways.
Yeah.
And they were so grateful for it. And to me, it's like, man, like now imagine if I get the foundation going, let's get these kids the right size. Let's get these kids socks. How can you not have, we're in Toronto, Canada. We're, quote, first world.
Yeah.
We have billion-dollar companies.
Yeah.
How is it that kids in Jane and Finch and other areas do not have correct socks to play in? Society, we're not doing something right.
Exactly.
Something is falling through the cracks here, that if we're calling ourselves first world and we're calling ourselves an advanced country, this should never be the case. And that's kind of where I want to go next with it. I'm building out more time. I'm finally getting some help to be able to not be in the gym all the time.
Yeah.
I have some great guys, shout out Michael Torres and my crew, Faz and AJ and Fifi, and like we just bring people on board because we're trying to provide them opportunities. Like for us, even with On Point, you say like, what are we doing in the community? What are we doing? Like I've employed people that have tried to kill themselves. I've employed young people that have, had a tough time with life and wanted to end it. And I said, no, you're not doing that. You love this, you love writing, you love photography, you're going to do it. Kids that could be on the spectrum, you know what I mean? Where they could be autistic, or it doesn't matter to me. Like if you love basketball, I'm going to give you an opportunity to prove what you want to do is what you want to do. So we're going to continue. I tell kids out there, reach out to us. We're here, On Point. Come and live out your basketball dreams. That's what we're here for.
You guys are really on point.
Everything that you're doing. It's not a joke.
Yeah, like,
it's a very
really
fitting
Hey, I
name.
thought that one out. You know what I'm saying? I thought that one out. It was like,
it's
that's the anywhere, any field, people say that. You're on point. Even, Even
On
Tribe
point.
Called Quest, you're on point tip.
Yeah,
All right,
yep,
but
point still.
that's one of my groups,
Start using that hashtag.
Yeah.
on point. No, it makes sense. Even talking about all the stuff that you do,
That's a lot.
it's on point. You're on point with it.
You're too kind, man. You're too
Point
kind.
with it. No, I mean like, because when you started On Point, like you jumped into a gap. Pretty much,
Yeah,
right? Like
I saw that.
Who was around? It was Hooptown GTA was around.
Yeah,
at that
and
point.
then when before that it was Crown Magazine and
Crown Magazine,
and then
yep.
NPH and us were coming up pretty much around the same time.
yep.
So we were
Yep.
kind of both community oriented. They kind of went more the scouting route. I was kind of more like, let's shine a light within the inner city of these kids. Like I'm in Jane and Finch, I'm in Jungle, I'm in the places that a lot of people probably wouldn't go to. But I grew up around people in those areas, you know what I mean? Regent Park, I grew up, so I'm not afraid of our people. I'm here to help, and that's the problem. Like people won't go in to actually see the struggles and reach in and grab and bring the young people and bring the adults in and say, hey, you're important.
Right.
You know what I mean? Not everybody, like circumstances could change. Like it's this small of a occurrence that could happen that could change you from being a sane person where everything's going good, and one incident happens to you and all of a sudden you lose it mentally. You know what I mean? And why should we abandon people?
For sure.
We need to be able to help people and say, hey, come in and be
Absolutely.
a part of this.
I feel like media also has like a really big role to play in like the perception of how these communities are perceived, especially being from Jane and Finch myself. Like I'm really big on how the media kind of like highlights our people. And so I love what you're doing in a sense where you are focusing on these different neighborhoods and shining a light on all of the positive things, but not just the positive, all of the skilled people that we have in our communities. And that just goes back to the point of like, if you can see it, you can be it, right? Like showing them, hey, I can highlight you in a positive way, not only for them to see themselves like that, but for younger folks as well coming up, like, yo, that's my dog. Or I saw him in the community. Like,
Yeah.
he's up there doing big things like that. Like, I can definitely do that as well, right? So that's a really amazing thing that you're doing, one. And also even just setting the standard. We talk about the foundation having to be strong. I know you mentioned, like, your mom. Something simple as the newspaper, making sure that you
Changed
read
my
the
life.
different, right? But that's what I'm saying. Like, she set that foundation for you from the jump. Something that I feel like goes over a lot of folks' heads, especially when it comes to ball. Yeah, ball is life, and everyone's like, "Why are you spending so much time in the court?" But look at what you guys are doing with Inspire, like with Jordan. These kids are so talented, but at the same time, they have so much respect. It's insane, and that all comes from what they're doing, like the foundation that they're developing on the court and off the court as well. So definitely, like,
Set a standard.
set the standard.
Yeah.
It's discipline.
Bingo.
Basketball is
Bingo.
a means to life and a means to go from a young person, whether it's a young woman or a young man. It teaches you a lot about camaraderie, teamwork, sacrifice. I'll be honest, nowadays I don't see as much as that as we need to see.
Yep.
I think coaches need to be tougher as far as teaching the right and wrong. Like, there's certain things that happen on a court that back in my day, if you did,
wouldn't
you're
fly.
off.
Right.
It's not flying. You're
Right.
sitting out. Why aren't coaches doing that anymore? Are you afraid to lose your
Star
player?
player.
Are you afraid that the parent's going to get upset? I think you're doing a disservice. You know, I'm on the sidelines of a lot of basketball, a lot of bad basketball. Not to, but it's a lot of
We won't
things
say
that
any
could
names.
be better.
We won't
ain't
call
saying
any names.
Just overall, just a lot of
They know who they are.
There's a lot of things that could be done better.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like, coaches, don't throw away your standards because you may want to keep a player or you don't want to offend this. We got to teach right from right and wrong from wrong. There's certain things that you do on a court
Right.
you should do and be rewarded for. But there's other stuff. Hey, you may just need to sit down.
Yeah.
A minute. Hey, did you know why I took you off? Okay,
Yes,
this is
yeah.
like, you can't do that. Or why don't you do it this way? Or if you're the referee, you didn't like the call, don't go running and screaming in the referee's face. Come to me,
Yeah.
let me scream in my face as the
yeah.
coach.
Yeah.
I'll go
and then
on
I'll
to you.
handle it. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that-
the mentorship piece.
That's a mentorship piece. And the thing is, what they don't realize is, especially nowadays with the video, content, streaming,
yes.
every single
Yeah.
action, once you get between those lines, is scrutinized. You need to be a level, even keel. As much as people might say about Kawhi Leonard and he's injured and all that, but I look at him, the way his demeanor is, he doesn't get too high, he doesn't get too low. It's like he's been there a
He's just a
million
guy.
times. He's just a guy. You got to control your emotions out there. You got to be like, it's a business, and you got to be professional. And that's
Yeah.
where I think lately I just seen we're kind of falling off there. We've got to get things back to where they were.
Well, I mean, this is why the CE in the name YAAACE stands for character education. It's in our name because it's such a big piece.
Yep.
Huge.
And you'll see there's a number of people that have commented on this. Our Inspire boys, when they get here, they go into every single room, greet
amazing.
every single person that's here. The handshake
Yep.
or a
Hello.
hug, whatever it
Yep.
is, they're greeting every single person that comes in here, which is something that if we didn't show them that, they wouldn't have that.
Right.
Respect.
Respect.
Especially for your
It's a
elders.
big thing.
Insane,
It's a
yeah.
big thing. It's a big thing. And as you can attest to, even at the highest levels, they're looking at your character.
For sure.
Character is a big part about it. The X's and O's are the X's and O's.
Right. It goes back to
But
your
how
branding.
are you going to
Yeah.
be able to handle yourself when your team is down, right? How are you going to be able to pull them back up? That's all part of your character, right?
Yeah, you're going to fly off the handle, or you're going to yell and scream at the ref, or you're going to run back and hustle on defense and make a play that your coach is going to say, hey, I'm keeping him on the court. He's only scored 5 points, but the effort I see on defense and hustle, that's what I tell a lot of kids, especially the ones trying to get scholarships. It's like, you got to separate yourself.
Yes.
Nothing, and a lot of things, it's entitlement. You're not entitled to anything. You need to put in the work, and you need to show your coach, hey, this is why I'm going to stay on the court. I'm going to keep you on the court, because you're communicating out there. You're running back on defense. You're trying to take a charge. You're reading the passing lanes. You know what I mean? You're helping your less experienced players understand what they need to do. You're communicating more than anything, and you're being a leader on your court that your coach can trust you.
Right.
You know, and again, young players out there, like, don't go into life thinking anybody owes you anything. You got to work. I mean, you know, Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, you go down the line, Garnett, you know, Asia Wilson, like everybody, you know, everybody that you see as a star, they're a star because they put in the work. It wasn't like nobody gave them anything. And so that's the lesson I try to keep telling these kids. You got to work extra hard. You got to prove yourself and make your coach have to keep you on the court.
Yeah, fall in love with the work.
Facts.
It's love.
Fall in love with the work.
If I'm playing, I would love to be yelled at constructively by my coach if I mess up. Like, we could take it back then. Like, your coach yells at you because you understand it's for a reason.
Right, and it's out of love, too.
It's out of love. But nowadays, it's tough. The kids are a little bit, you know, they're a little bit soft. They're a little bit, obviously, the parents nowadays, they wanted to give the kids more than they had.
Yeah.
So there's less of a struggle. There's less of, you know, hard knocks to get up and get out of maybe a certain situation. These kids, most of them are not in rough situations.
Right.
So it's like, how do you get that extra motivation? Again, it's like, still tell your kids that nothing is owed to you, ever. And once you have that mentality, you're willing to put in the work. Your coach yells at you for not getting back. You'll be like, Coach, my bad. I got it the next time. You're not going to take it personally. You're not going to sulk off in the corner. You're going to come back and you're going to say, yo, I'm going to do it better next time.
Yeah.
But
And there's nothing wrong with wanting more for your kids. Like, that's the way it should be. As a parent, I want more for my kids than I had. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't have my first pair of Jordans till I bought them, and that was at like 15, 16, you know? My kids, I can't even tell you how many pairs of Jordans he's already had, but it's because I never had that. You know what I mean? So that's something that's natural, but I see what you're saying. Like, it does, there's a detriment to it, or we give them like a little bit too much, and then they start expecting
too much.
That this
You
is
give
just
them
how
shoes,
it is.
you give them uniforms, you give them, you know, they get bus rides to different courts. I mean, I was impressed, you know, by this gentleman and his family this past weekend. I mean, he had all the young people in his family working and with responsibility. And this goes a long way. If you're teaching them from like 6, 7, 8 years old, this is what you do. This is how to be professional. This is what you do. This is what you don't. And to see them working on that broadcast and like people don't understand. We had kids working there.
It was a proud moment.
Doing
That's
shows. Like that was
amazing.
just like, that is what it's all about. It's giving opportunity, but not being afraid to say, hey, you did that incorrectly,
For sure.
or you could do that better. Try it this way. And them listening. So, man, that was... To this moment, I'm like, man, I'm proud of you, bro.
And we didn't even take a picture. That's the
Wow.
crazy thing is we
I was
didn't
thinking
take a
about
picture.
that.
I was
How
thinking
did we
about
not
that
take
too,
a
but
picture? It didn't
we were
happen.
there was so much going on,
Yeah.
right? It
Yeah.
was
That's
it was
incredible, though.
it was a very fast moving broadcast, and there's a lot going on. So, but I did think about it too at one point, like we should take a picture. But
Yeah.
you know, I saw something recently about basketball no longer being a sport full of hood kids because they don't have the access that some of these, going back to, you know, providing for our kids.
Yeah.
Now you have kids that will say, oh, I don't play outdoor.
Right.
I only play on
Entitlement.
indoor
Yeah.
with my shoes and my Wilson basketball. They won't even play outside. So they're saying that this gentleman actually was saying that, you know, the hood kids are being priced out of basketball, where it used to be a sport where all you needed was a ball
Right.
and
The
shoes
hoopers
and
are-
just
yeah,
just go hit the court. And but now you have all these trainers, you have all this gym time, but there's a cost barrier.
Right. Prep. Everything's
Prep.
prep now.
Right,
Even
there's
the
a
parents
there's,
too,
there's a
Elite.
cost
That
yeah.
barrier.
word elite.
Yeah.
Right?
So I mean, how do you feel about that? What do you think? Do you feel like our young brothers from the hood are being priced out of basketball?
I would say in a way, yes, because like even when I visit certain areas and I check out some of the kids playing in the center or just playing for fun, I'm like, holy, he just did that. You know, where's he playing? Oh, just a little school somewhere in the area. And it's like, yeah, it's prep now, but everything too, the way the city has been hollowed out to the point where the real estate prices are so high, everything's moving out. So where you had city programs before, city prep programs and things, now they can't even afford to be in the city. It's so expensive. So you got to be in Brampton, you got to be in Durham, in you know, Oshawa, Pickering, Whitby. You got to be in Newmarket. You know what I mean? You got to be in Mississauga, like way out, Milton, those places. And what about the city core? You have a lot of kids that are being left and falling through the cracks. And it's things that we got to be able to bring back with funding, like midnight basketball. I know they run that out of U of T. I think Gold Ring. I'm not sure if it's still going, but we need more programs within the city. We need more funding to keep kids in the gym. And also you can teach other skills while they're here, you know, photography, media, all that stuff, you know, life skills, you know, nutrition, all that while they're here. But you need the funding to have it happen. You can't just leave it by the wayside because all these kids, there's no opportunity for them. And that's hopefully, again, part of what, when we get the On Point Foundation going, you know, I work with my boy Adrian with Hoop Dreams, and we have a lot of plans to give back to the community there. You know, so many good things are going to happen, and more education for parents, but also, again, bringing opportunities to kids that are underserved. That has to be our focus. We can't just, you know, just leave all these kids here in the city and just head out to the suburbs. We can't do that. We got to make sure
and then
we're paying
wonder
attention.
why things
Why violence is
yeah.
Kids need a release.
Absolutely.
They need gym time. Number one, come in the gym, run around, release that tension. A lot of stress. Obviously, a lot of kids growing up, you know, one parent family, sometimes no parents. Sometimes they're being brought up by a grandmother. I'm not being stereotypical. I lived the life. I was a one parent household. Luckily, I was able to kind of take what my mom said, like, you know, basically don't go out there and get yourself into no trouble, but also, you know, encourage me to do sports, encourage me to live big and dream big, you know. And back in our day, let's not get it twisted. Our guidance counselors and stuff, they weren't trying to show us, hey, you know, you as a young black man could go to university. They were just trying to show you, hey, maybe you could go to college or trades. And you know what? When you look at it, it's kind of flipped now because trades is amazing. But why should I be limited to not thinking I want to get a university degree as well as go to college? Because I ended up going to Seneca at York, which is a combination of both. But then now you look at housing is needed. All the condos going up. We need construction people.
We do.
The trades are it. So for me, it's like the system shouldn't tell you as a black youth where they think you should be. You should have the option, especially in Canada, to say, hey, this is what I want to be. I want to be a doctor. I want to own that team, as you said. Why not?
It's possible.
That's that idea is the driving force behind the labor market initiative, the Career Connect.
Tell us about it. I don't know about it. What is that all about?
So I think it's really cool that YAAACE has implemented the Career Connect initiative because it allows for the young people that we work with to be placed in different environments, different career paths, different companies, and exposures to different like business people, entrepreneurs, artists, and the list just continues to go on, just to show them like, yo, you can genuinely do whatever it is you want to do. Think outside of the box, because I feel like a lot of the times the young people, especially the ones that I work with, like they limit themselves, or they feel like, yo, my past should define my future, when it shouldn't, right? So like just exposing them to different opportunities has really been able to like get them in through different doors. Like we went to KPMG not too long ago. It was the KPMG and Icon Summit. How often do you get kids going to KPMG? The kids went inside and they're like, yo, the view? I'm like, do you see yourself working in the space? They're like, yeah. So little things like that, right? Just seeing their bright smiles on their faces. So I
showing
think
them the opportunities.
If you don't know, how will you know? And that's the thing with, you know, there's so much talent. in underserved areas. There's so much talent. And I'm not talking about sports talent. I'm just talking about brain power, smart kids, kids that maybe aren't Einstein, but they're good with, working with their hands. But why are we leaving them behind? This is a great program that you guys are doing. And please keep doing it, man.
Oh, for sure. And we do have a large conference that we will be hosting coming up in February. I think there's definitely an opportunity there for us to involve on point as well.
We got our great photographers, our great video people, that could help some of these kids that want to do
and
different
just speaking to them. So another example, we took a bunch of kids down to Sony Music, right, for them to see all the different jobs that are available in music. You don't just have to be a rapper, right? Same like we were talking about earlier on with basketball, right?
True.
There's so many avenues. Like if you love
Engineer,
something,
producer,
you can, so many,
marketing,
even just being
A&R,
finance, accounting, but like you're still part of
and you might
that
get those
machine.
free tickets still if you're there, right?
Those
You're getting some free concert
It's true,
tickets
though,
too.
yeah.
Yep.
There's a lot of
And you're
perks.
getting to meet the artists that come in because the artists will come in right in there, right?
Yeah.
So if there's something you love, there is something that you can do in that field, and this initiative is about showing them these options and these possibilities. So I definitely think we should connect for the conference and have you guys come in and maybe talk on one of the panels or
Down
something
for
like
that.
that.
You'll have to
Yeah.
ask
We
me
will
twice.
definitely
Down for that.
reach out about that and get you guys.
That's
connected
amazing,
on
man.
that.
Keep doing it. You
I
guys
got a
are
question.
amazing. Yeah.
So I feel like oftentimes we're so heavily focused on like chasing the bag, ensuring that we're working hard. And we always tell our kids like, go to school, go to work hard. And then they get into these career paths and all they can do is chase the hustle. Have you ever had burnout? And how did you overcome this? Like, how did you manage your burnout?
That's a great question. Yeah. I mean, a couple times. There was a time a while back I was working for Global TV and I was at the bank at the same time, and it was just like nonstop, 5-6 days a week, nonstop, from the bank to Global. Going to Global would be going to Raptors games or Leafs games or whatever, leaving that game, getting to this back to Global studio at 11 o'clock, picking out my clips, going to the editor, telling him what clips you want, then going in and running that tape into the control room so that they could get it on for 11:30 or 11:35, and it was just nonstop. And there was a time where I did burn out because I was like, I didn't know where the heck I was. Like I woke up one day and I was just like, holy, like this is not ending.
Right.
It's just too much.
It's a loop.
It's a life playback loop. But I was and I'm always driven in this career to be like, make it happen. I had to realize, though, you got to pull back. You're human. You got to rest. I still don't do a good job of it. You got to rest as much as you want to hustle. And, I could say I'm not doing it for the bag, but obviously at some point you want to be able to relax and live a life where you don't have to worry about funds. But, yeah, you need to really take care of your body. And that's what I've realized over the last year a lot more. Like, especially after COVID, I had torn my Achilles back in 2020, so I was on the couch and kind of let myself go. And I realized, man, like you have one life. You got to eat better, you got to sleep better, you got to think better, and you got to work smarter. I'm still not 100% there, but I'm
it's a work in
trying
progress.
to figure
I feel like
how to
it's
work smarter.
Yeah.
So that's an incredible question. I think when you're so driven to what you want, sometimes you kind of like mess up and you're like, you just keep going, but you need to pull back and you need to get your sleep, number one, and eat better and eat right. Especially like in our community, you have diabetes, you have high blood pressure. You know what I mean? Like, so, and that's on both sides of my family. So you got to watch your sugar intake. You got to watch your salt intake. You got to drink a lot of water. Like these are things that we should know. Cut out as much fast food as you can. Like now I try to be mostly protein and veggies. I don't do a lot of carbs, and I intermittent fast. So I don't eat, I try not to eat later than say 8 or 9 or 10 maybe p.m. and go till at least noon the next day or even longer now. I'm finding I'm able to do it longer and not feel hunger pains. But because the body is stored up with all you've been eating, you're conditioned. You got to eat breakfast,
Yes, yes,
lunch,
yes.
dinner.
Yeah.
No, you don't actually have to, because
Yeah.
your body stores nutrients. Now, when you're on those fasts, now your body's going to go, what it's going to go first is going to get the fat that's stored, right? If you're exercising as well and you're eating better, like more protein and greens and veggies, you're better. I love my jerk chicken. I love my oxtail.
I had jerk chicken today.
With curry goat. I can't give that up yet, but there is a point where I could even give up meat at some point in the future. You know, it's just moderation. You can't have those
Balance.
foods all the time, and I have to do better still as far as exercise, because I'm still right now plopped in front of my computer when work is done and doing more work, and I'm like, I gotta just give it up for an hour and a half and just
Get
go
into
and
the
the work
gym
will
or something.
be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the work will be there.
Yeah, it's not
going.
going anywhere.
A reminder to myself.
You're younger than me, so I'm telling you from now.
Yeah.
Learn that lesson.
Stays the same.
It's
Stays the
true.
same. So I mean, you've done a number of things. You've you've done the corporate thing, still doing the corporate thing.
Not me, I don't like it.
Managed,
It's okay.
Managed the hip hop artists.
Oh
even.
my goodness, shout out
Right,
Shaka.
shout out Shaka.
Recently married as well.
Yes,
Oh
yes.
my gosh, shout out.
Yeah.
But you've done that, On Point Basketball, and you're also now the commissioner of the NSC
Platinum Circuit.
Platinum
yeah.
Circuit.
Yeah.
Share some insights with us on what it takes to be the boss, first of all, and to run something like that.
He said, wait.
And then also
Thank you.
what you feel the league is doing to develop basketball in Canada.
For a boss, I like a boss that's not over my head, like not over my back, looking over my shoulder, micromanaging. That's the worst kind of boss. I like a boss who's easy, but who's caring, but lets you know what you need to do, and then you do it, and they're fine. Obviously, they'll check back in with you. So for me, it's about making people comfortable, but also letting them know, hey, this is what I expect of you, but being fair.
Yeah.
Doing Platinum Circuit, NJC, NSC, that's been about 7 years, being a part of that whole group. Platinum Circuit is about 4 years. It's just a platform. Especially, we started Platinum around COVID time. So a lot of kids didn't have access to the school gyms. They were closed. So we were fortunate to be able to use the private facilities, like the playground. Shout out Sam Ibrahim. I think really, people have to say Sam really kept basketball alive, because remember, in schools you couldn't do anything.
Right,
in
everything
the
was
States,
like
everything
on
was
pause.
shut.
Yeah.
In the States, they kept going. They
They
really
kept
didn't
going.
even
Yeah,
care.
we
They
were
were
falling
outside,
behind.
yeah.
We were falling behind.
They didn't care.
Yeah.
So we still lost a little time, but it could have been worse if we didn't have facilities. He had like 5-6 facilities.
Yeah.
All the prep programs we started up, and there's a complaint now. Obviously, there's too many prep programs. They're gonna come down. They're gonna be whittled away, some of them, but it's just the market.
Yeah.
The high school scene isn't what it used to be. OFSA isn't as relevant as it used to be.
Right.
It's the prep scene. Now, there are too many prep leagues. I'm not going to call the rest of them out.
Yeah.
I've obviously running Platinum, I feel we've done a very good job of promoting our kids, promoting our players. First and foremost, I don't care about anything else. We hire our videographers. We always have photography every session to make sure these kids get their shine. We send them the content so they can repost it, because that's what it's about. It's about giving them opportunities. We've had several kids gone to D1 from Platinum.
Amazing.
I really think the NJCs are gem, just because we've had kids like the Elijah Fisher, Shaden Sharp, Leonard Miller, won 2 championships. Shaden had 58 point, had the record.
Shaden's
for
a
while.
monster.
He's a monster.
He's a monster.
Even when I look at it right now,
Yeah.
Will Riley, he's at University of Illinois. He just debuted, I believe, with like a 30-point debut. That's one of the best debuts as a freshman ever. But I can see in our junior circuit, I can see these kids, and I write them down, and I know, hey, Canada basketball, you guys need to know these names. We don't just host these; we help the kids behind the scenes. But we can see the future just from our circuit and predict this kid's going to be tough. They're going to be great. They've got the talent. So it's been a labor of love. It's a lot of hard work. But we're trying to just give a platform for these kids. And for being the commissioner, it's for me, I take things seriously. Like, I want the games to go on time. So the referees, I love it because they come up and say, hey, man, good job. You guys run a real tight ship. Your games are on time. We don't tolerate violence. We don't tolerate no BS. It's basketball. We're going to promote as much as we can. We don't want, like, even we had an issue with parents. And that's something I've kind of wanted to.
That's a big one. Yeah.
I kind of want to get on that on my social media a couple years ago. Like, come on, parents. I'm talking to you guys. I know you want your kids to go far. I know everybody wants their kids to go to the league. But you can't be like, running down referees and like
that's not gonna do it.
Swearing at kids on the other team and running on the court. I'm like, we gotta be better.
How do you navigate that though?
Well, there's been times when referees said to, hey, you need to talk to that parent or else they're out. And I have to go over there and say, hey, the referee's telling me you got to chill a bit. You can't run down, chasing him down the court behind him, yelling in his ear, calling him all sorts of names. Like, literally, parents, I love you, but you got to realize that's not helping.
No.
It's not helping your kid because your kid's, he's half the time listening to you as a parent and half the time listening to the coach. Sometimes not even listening to the coach.
Yeah, because you're sideline coaching him over there. Yeah.
You got to be able to entrust your kids
with
to the
coach.
coaching and wait till after the game, or not even right after the game. The next day, point out a couple things your son or daughter could do better. But when you get in that car and you start going at him and going at him,
you
or
should have you did it.
Or even going at the coach. So we have in our org, we have a 24-hour rule. So after a game, you cannot say anything to the coach for 24 hours.
Love that.
There's that period where
Cool
it's
down.
just cool down period. That's exactly it right there.
I love that.
And then when you come, you're level-headed and you can both have a civil conversation because this right after the game, getting into coach's face
You know how many
business.
times I've had to be in between that?
That's insane.
Because people, a lot of times, the parents are running up on the court after, even during the handshake, and that's dangerous. Never mind. One of the kids, especially in a testy game, that's happened before, and the kid, you don't know. They don't know why you're running up on the floor. You're going to talk to your coach, but you're mad, and then things could pop off. And it's like, parents, just be better. Like, we got to set a better example. Because if the kids see parents and adults acting a certain way, then we can't really complain when the kids are acting that way as well. So we need to be disciplined. We need to be more professional as parents. I don't have kids, but I'm just saying, just from my experience of seeing some of the behavior in the last 2, 3, 4 years, got to be better. Adults got to be better. Coaches got to be better too.
They all need to be on point.
They got to be on point. It's an example.
It's
how
true.
we act in every aspect with our children, with children around, is going to shape how they're going to behave.
For sure.
It's as simple as that.
For sure. Lead by example.
You said you've seen in the last 2, 3, 4 years.
Yeah.
You think this is a result of COVID maybe?
People are stressed. It's tough. Life is tough. But again, maybe it's unrealistic expectations.
That too, yeah.
Maybe you want your child to be this, but the tea leaves are showing like he or she's just not that type of player. Now it could be where they need more training.
For sure. And time development.
Being patient. They need more training. They just need to work on things outside of the game. I think personally kids are playing too many games, and maybe we're a factor to that because we host our sessions as well, and kids are playing in our circuits. But to be honest with you, I think more needs to be done fundamentally in this country for our players, more than playing a bag of games every single weekend.
Because then you're not working on the fundamentals.
Yeah. So there was a wave, a time when Toronto was considered like the new mecca of basketball, right?
Still is.
Still is. I would agree with that. But if you look at the NBA and you look at the guys that are at the top, right? Say the top 5 guys, you could argue that 3 of those top 5 guys are Europeans. Are Europeans. What do you think it is that they're doing different now that's bringing them the Jokic's and those guys to the forefront now?
Even a Giannis.
Like what do you think they're doing differently over there? Because they're playing the same game, but what is it maybe that they're paying it to, is it fundamentals that they're focusing more on that's making their kid, like, what do you think it is?
Yeah, there's a lot of factors. I mean, I think their system is different. In Europe, they run more of a club system, so you're playing for clubs early. It's not really through your high school or your school based, and so you're getting professionalism right from your 12 or 13. You're in the program, right? Some people also in Europe, they start kids with a low rim. And I learned this recently, and they start with a low rim, and they advance the rim, and they advance the rim, so that you're learning the shot form at your equivalent age. So a lot of times now you'll have, like, even in this program, right? They're shooting on them sometimes a certain
grade fours.
Grade fours are shooting on a 10-foot rim.
Yeah, launching it, and
they're launching it. You can't blame them. But what if now we had rims that could come down, 8.5, 8 rims. And now we have to look at what they're doing overseas. They teach fundamentals. They teach shooting. I've said this so many years. We are not teaching enough shooting. The game is about shooting. How much of your practice do you dedicate to shooting, shot form, around the horn, one arm shot form around, form shooting, and then stepping out. We need to shoot more. We need to be able to teach better shooting. And that's where, when you look at the European teams, you got guys that are 7 foot, 7'2", that could bury threes. You know, your forwards are not just sitting in the post. They're out there in the ability to shoot threes. But I'm an old school guy too. I don't want everybody to be just jacking up threes. So that's where it's kind of like you can be able to shoot it, but you still need to be able to play inside, outside. But there's a lot of factors that could be successful for Canada, because we have the athletes, right? Now we just need to bring in some of that European influence to kind of combine it. And now I think if you add those in, like, man,
game changer.
Certain things I don't know, like the lower rims. I think it would be hard to sell people on that over here, because I've been to Italy now twice for a tournament with my son, right? And there was grade 5s, and they were playing on an 8.5 foot rim. And I remember asking one of the coaches down there, like, what's up with the low rims? Like, don't you guys want them to learn on proper size rims? And he said exactly what you were talking about, the shot form. He's like, they can't really get up to the 10-foot rims. You bring the rim down, they're working on their form, and as they get bigger, as they get stronger, the rim goes up. And it made so much sense to me. But I feel like we wouldn't be able to sell something like that over here.
I feel
we should
maybe start one facility and do it and see how successful, because it's proven they can shoot the lights out. Most of those cats over there can shoot the lights out.
You don't see anybody coming from Europe with these weird, odd forms, you know?
Wonky forms.
Yeah, you don't really see that coming from Europe.
I can't say nothing about form.
Great points, man. Great points. We might have to think out the box. That's the ultimate thing. We are having success as Canada, but sometimes we're failing at the international level, I feel, because our shooting is under par. A lot of times we have one guy that could literally shoot, like one legit shooter out of 12. Like those European teams, you see what they're doing. The Serbias, even France now, like a lot of those, everybody, almost 10 out of the 12-man roster can actually hit shots from outside consistently. We're not at that level. We're only at like 1 or 2, if that. So every emphasis we need to have going forward, the game is about shooting now, and I think we need to focus more on that.
Yeah, France has got the tallest guy in the NBA shooting threes.
With form.
Crazy. With form. With
not
proper
just
form.
chucking it up. He looks like a guard. Wemby, right?
Yeah. So speaking of players, you've covered a number of players over the years. Who would you say are some of the most impressive young players you've seen, and what was it that you saw in them that stood out?
I mean, Andrew Wiggins obviously was around the time we were coming up, 2012. We got to go and see him. We got to see some things that I'm like, wow, America is just totally, it's sports, it's a business, it's marketing. We'd go to events as, amateur media, or whatever you call it, and they'd have media sections in the parking lot, like cordoned off. Hey, you guys are media covering a high school event? Yeah, you guys park in here. you guys need food? We got dinner and
Wow.
lunch for you guys.
What?
These were going to some events.
Yeah.
5,000 seat high school gyms
Yeah.
that they're selling tickets for $15 in
Yeah.
advance, $20, and they're full.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So the whole, I mean, obviously growing up in Vaughan, and I went to Langstaff, I went to Bayview. My brother and cousins went to Vaughan, so I was kind of embedded in that Vaughan culture to see, and I knew Mitch Wiggins, you know, rest in peace. We just lost Mitchell Wiggins Sr.
Yes, R.I.P.
recently, and he's the offspring of the Wiggins family has been incredible for Canadian basketball. So just growing up and seeing Andrew and the phenomenon that was Andrew winning OFSA, and just the athleticism, you know, that he had was off the charts. So yeah, he's definitely one. Again, I talk about Hoop Dome and being there, and guys like Anthony Bennett, like just another phenomenal athlete. And just the way he played, just reminding me of the back in the day.
Yeah.
Guys
like
that would
a Barkley
attack
almost.
the
Like
rim. Yeah.
He really reminded me of like a Charles Barkley when he was playing college.
Attack
Just
the
the
rim.
way he attacked the rim.
And just like with abandon. Like those are the kind of guys that we grew up with back in the day. I mean, Jamal Murray, when I look at it, you know, he recently had his homecoming game. And I look at when I first saw Jamal Murray in the gym, and I'm like, this kid, there's something different about him. Young, but he's special. And then when you saw what he did in the Pan Am Games, he just basically put Canada on his back, and he just did his thing. I was like, wow, you know. A kid like RJ Barrett, the fact that, you know, obviously grew up with the family, knew Rowan, and just seeing him come up under his dad, looked kind of the same way, the way they play, and he's a lefty. And just to see what he did, being player of the year and all that coming up, you know, was super, super special. I look on the girls' side. I look at like Letitia Amihere, you know, went to South Carolina. You know what I mean? Like when you have a young lady able to go to the top school in the States and win a title and like be in the WNBA, Aaliyah Edwards.
Talk about it.
I mean, come on, like just dominant,
Yeah.
multiple OFSAs. Cheyenne Day Wilson, you know, at LSU right now, and just, you know, being able to go to Duke out of Canadian high school, like it's just incredible. And I think the best is still yet to come. Being on the circuits and seeing, you know, it's just Cassandra Prosper. She's another one. She was injured last year. She's at Notre Dame. Like when you see what our Canadian girls are doing, shout out Bridget Carlton. You know, watching her come up, just fell short of winning a WNBA title. So like I've been there. Like I've been covering the NBA as well. Obviously, we know how great they are, but just seeing our Canadian athletes, the professionalism that they bring to the game. I mean, when I even look at Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and obviously I know Shea and Nikhil, and they're from this program, I'm still like, I'm shaking. Like I know how good he is, but I'm still like, he should have won MVP. Bottom line.
Yep.
And shout out Vaughn, because I saw the podcast and he was being kind of diplomatic there, but he knows still. I mean, Jokic is incredible. I mean, one of the greatest ever. But I feel like what he did with a young team, the record, they had the best record there. I feel he got kind of shortchanged there, maybe because OKC is not a huge market.
That's true.
But to see one of our Canadian kids, and Jamal was there too, and I think Jamal's not far off from being one of the top point guards in the league. He is. Yeah. He's in the top 15, top 10 maybe point guards. But Shea just being essentially one of the best players in the world for the past, say, even a couple years. And he's not resting on those laurels. They're 7-0. Like the only team to start 7-0 to win by double digits in NBA history, OKC. To see Shea, and when I look back, we looked at some of the pictures with him and Nikhil here, and I know there's a team photo as well, and you look at their faces, and you look at Nikhil where he might have been a little ahead of Shea early on, and Shea kind of came and kind of passed him, but then you see Nikhil now getting his opportunity. Obviously,
he's balling,
and he's balling. He could shoot, and I remember speaking to NBA scouts a few years about him and saying, "Yo, we love the fact that Nikhil can shoot the lights out." But again, I say to, obviously there's been Steve Nash as a Canadian, and some of the other kids that I mentioned, but to see what Shea's doing, I don't know. I mean, yeah, Nash won his 2 MVPs, so obviously he was
back to back.
But to see in this new age how talented and athletic the players are, and to see Shea being essentially the top or second or third best in the league in this day and age, and he still wants more. He's not satisfied.
Not done yet.
That
And humble, too.
That comes back humble, and you're wearing the YAAACE. There's a lot of lessons that he learned, I think, came from here and being in this program. But I'm so proud of him. I remember going to the Hoop Summit in Portland, one of my favorite events. And, you know, who was there? I think we had a bunch of Canadians there. He was there. RJ was there. A few of the other ones. And, like, being able to cover Shea and see his development, you know, UPlay doing their thing, you know, impressive. Super impressed. And pulling for him to get the MVP this year and the title. I think the way they're playing, they're going to be trouble come playoff time.
They got a good squad.
Yeah, maybe, hopefully, they're playing Nikhil and Minnesota in the
Man,
the Western
we had our
Finals.
fingers crossed, waiting for that series to happen.
Man.
We were really looking forward to that one. That would have been fun. But yeah, maybe we see it again. Maybe we see it this year.
Yeah,
Never
maybe
know.
we see it this year.
So, what's your favorite basketball moment?
Oh, man, I've had a lot. Well, you know, we made the Olympics for the first time on the men's side since 2000. And I remember listening to that game online. It wasn't on TV, I believe. They lost in 2000 to France in the quarterfinals. They were so close to winning it. And first off, one of the great moments was them. You know, they've been in the World Championships here and there, but when they qualified for the World Championships and then they won the bronze. I mean, I was screaming in the house. My girlfriend at the time was in the room, and I was up watching those games, and I was just so happy. Yeah, we wanted gold, but just to be back, and just to see our guys, like, actually, these guys can play. We can play with Spain.
Yeah,
we can play with France. Like before, it was like, oh man, those guys have to make a lot of mistakes, and maybe we'll sneak out a win. Now the confidence level is there, and that was one of my greatest moments. And then to see them back in the Olympics, and I know it was disappointing. We were all thought they were going to do better. I think France pulled one off on us the way they played certain players. They didn't play Gobert. That kind of threw us off. We didn't have our best game, but still, that was one of the best moments just to see them advance and make it to the Olympics. You know, there's been a lot of moments. Obviously, I've been there when Vince Carter has hit a dagger to kill Toronto in that game. I was there reporting
for New Jersey.
Wow.
That was painful.
Wow.
I mean, but a great moment nonetheless, just to see what he could do. But ultimately, and again, I'm always trying to give the ladies their props. The women's national, senior women's national team has been to 4 or 5 straight Olympics. Yeah, they've held it down for Canada. They have. You know, Kia Nurse and Bridget Carlton, as I mentioned, and you know, a lot of Natalie Achonwa, a lot of these players that we've seen, the ladies have carried it down, carried for us and held it down. So I want to always shout out women's basketball because that needs a lot more attention. Women need more attention. WNBA coming here.
That's going to be so cool.
That's going to be great. But obviously, the biggest moment for me, the Raptors win the championship.
Yeah.
I mean,
iconic.
It doesn't matter, and you guys can speak on it too. It doesn't matter what people say. We won the chip. It doesn't matter if you say so and so was injured, KD went down.
We don't want to hear it.
Hey, Golden State won the chip when Kyrie was hurt. When Kawhi got hurt. You win with the cards you're dealt. You lose with the cards you're dealt. And we're on the map. Nobody can ever take it away from us. Toronto Raptors, NBA champions. And for me, that was the biggest basketball moment.
That was insane.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I would have to agree. That's probably the biggest.
Did we ever think we'd ever win?
I thought we possibly could win eventually. I never thought it would happen that quickly. You know what I mean? Like from the time to the every single year heartbreak. Like LeBron just killing us year after year after year. And one trade, right? I guess it would be 2 because LeBron left the East as well.
Right, that helped.
But that's it literally in 1 year, everything changed. Everything changed, and here we are, champions. I think it wasn't until he hit the shot against Philly. Kawhi, I'm talking about Kawhi. It wasn't until that, the shot, I think they call it the shot, right?
Yes.
It wasn't until that I was like,
okay, we got
a shot here.
Right.
We got a guy.
We have a chance.
We got a guy.
That shot could have went the other way.
It could have easily.
That shot bounces out. We may not get that
bounce
series.
forever.
Real quick.
Yeah,
Again, everything happens for a reason.
If that bounces out.
Yeah.
You know, the basketball gods were with us. The city's deserving. The fans, they travel so well.
Yeah.
They're all over. And you know what? When you look at Canadian basketball, we mentioned Steve Nash. Obviously, winning 2 MVPs was huge for Canadian basketball. Raptors winning. But Vince Carter, I mean, as much as, you know, some people may not love Vince for the way it ended. But Vince Carter was a huge part of what we are. And the guys will say it. All the young players will say it. We watch Vince coming up. I remember being in Michigan. My brother was playing D2 Hillsdale College in Michigan. We went down there for the weekend. And it was an all-star weekend. It was the dunk-off.
Wow.
And it was the Vince dunk-off. And we were there in the hotel. And when he did that first crazy, like that corkscrew dunk, like the whole room, like there's probably 15 of us, my cousins, my uncles and aunts, we just erupted.
Yeah.
It was so loud. And the security came, or the concierge came and said, hey guys, can you keep it down? Because I think it was like, what is that, like 10 p.m. on a Saturday?
Yeah.
But like it was just the emotions from seeing I don't think we'd ever seen a dunk like that.
No.
And then from a Toronto guy, T-Mac
Toronto's
there,
all across his shirt.
Right.
We were like so proud.
Yeah.
We're in Michigan, but we're yelling for Toronto. And so, it was Vince Carter, understated. The emotions this past weekend, him and his mom, they went through a lot, obviously.
Full of emotion,
Full of emotions. I shout out the Raptors organization, Masai and the Tannenbaums and obviously head coach Darko and everybody else associated with the Raptors and what they did that whole weekend. The mural, I hope to go see that mural. But just the way they put on for Toronto, the Air Canada and the plane, and that's actually flying right now. It's like, look what basketball, the toughest part I think about being in this business as media and kind of trying to grow is the fact that I see how basketball is so huge. Like it's so big, but yet we struggle to kind of get, funding. We struggle to get brands and sponsors. Like, come on, brands, come on down to the grassroots level. Support what we're doing, because we're supporting the sport from the beginning. These kids are in the NBA right now. Guess what? We can show you pictures with them in front of the On Point banner. You know what I mean? We can show them in the Hardwood Classics events that we put on. We could show them at the Father Henry Carr tournament. But we were supporting these kids from early. Where were you guys? Now you guys are good because they're in the league.
Right. That's
my gripe. My gripe is we need more support at the grassroots level from the corporations, and it's got to be real support. It can't be sticking your toe in the water for a second. It can't be, lip service. It's got to be like, we want to support you guys. Commitment.
Yeah, that part.
You know what I'm saying? And that's my thing. It's like everybody's happy. These kids are in the league. I'm super happy. But let's figure out how they're getting the exposure. Which people are, what about our grassroots coaches? What about I go in the gym here at YAAACE. What time is it right now? 7 o'clock. I see a coach. He's getting his work in with these kids. They're doing ladders. They're doing, these are the future Shea Gilgeous-Alexanders and Nikhil Alexander-Walker and the O'Shea Brissett. O'Shea, shout out my dog from the YAAACE program. These people are putting the work behind the scenes. Let's reach down, pull up, and support the grassroots level. We need capital. We don't need lip service. We need capital so that we can grow and that we can scale our businesses. It was George Floyd came in and like I'm not calling names, but I'm just saying straight up, this is what I'm about. I've never shied away from it. All these companies and brands hit us up. Hey, how can we help you? What can we do? And then when it came down to it, they did nothing. Yeah. And I'm like, how you can help us is help us with capital. Give us funds that we can turn around and we'll put it to good use and give these kids, especially as you said, the ones that are forgotten, the ones that are, that nobody remembers, and I can see them playing and they're amazing. We need the corporate side to come and really support basketball. Because look at what we're doing. Yeah. We have 23 NBA players. How many? 3 or 4 WNBA, and there's going to be more WNBA. I'll tell you that 100%.
I see that coming,
especially after the team. But I know the young ladies now in high school and that are playing.
Yep.
Support this culture of basketball. Don't just support the players that are already up there that will make you money. Sure. We need you to come in and be a part of what we're doing here, because these grassroots coaches that are here on their own dime, you know what I mean? Like, come on, like, get it right. You know what I'm saying? Get it right.
For sure.
And I 100% agree. Okay, keep it real for 100%.
Yeah, that's real talk.
Okay, so we have our last question.
Yeah. I think
before
we let you go,
I know. I kind of have an idea, we watched the podcast before. Yeah, I have an idea of what you're gonna.
Woo! It's the GOAT question. So who is the greatest of all time? Is it Jordan? Is it Kobe? Or is it LeBron?
MJ. I mean, I'm telling you that straight because I'm an old school guy in my era. I got to give it, Kobe was probably the closest to MJ that there ever was, as far as he actually wanted to be Jordan. He mimicked him. He did. The expressions, the wristband and the armband and his mannerisms, the way he walked.
And he didn't deny it either. He proudly claimed it, yeah.
He claimed it, and he said, hey, I wanted to be better than Jordan. He's close. I mean, what do you have, 5? I think he had 5 chips as well. LeBron, I mean, my goodness gracious. I mean, we joke, we call him longevity GOAT, this and that, but I think more than anything, LeBron off the court has been so influential, and I don't think he gets the credit for that. Like, he has stood by causes, he's stood by things, as far as politics that are for the betterment of, America and what he thinks. He's kept his nose clean for the most part.
The school that he has, I Promise,
the I Promise school, and what he can continue. I think he hasn't even scratched the surface. He could do I Promise across the country, not just in Akron. Being the great, he has the most points in NBA history, probably most minutes, so many records. And I don't think you could look at it just, he's got 4 titles, not just because he doesn't have 6 like MJ. He's close. I mean, if he does pull off another title or 2 and they're playing well right now, he could go down, and I'm not averse to this, he could go down as the GOAT. I just look at the way that Jordan took the world by storm, and maybe it was because he was before LeBron and Kobe. He's a phenomenon. Like, kids now are rocking J's that have never seen Jordan play. Many kids
seen him bounce a basketball.
When did he retire? 15 years ago or whatever it was. That never saw Michael Jordan play live. But yet, they're rocking J's. They're trying to get their parents to buy them J's. To this day, I lived through it. I saw the Spike Lee commercials. I saw the games. We would run home. Here's the thing. I'm not going to date myself, but there was a time we wouldn't get NBA games so much up here. We would go, it was Sportsline. And the crazy thing is I ended up working for Global TV and Global Sports. Jim Taddy, Don, we would run home. We would be playing basketball and run home for 11:30 so that we could get to watch the highlights, the NBA highlights back in the day. And that's what it was. It wasn't on demand. It wasn't no Google box, folks. It wasn't, no Android box. It wasn't like satellite and stuff. It was like, all we could get was highlights. You know what I mean? But just growing up in what Jordan meant, it was must-see TV. Wherever you were, when you knew the Bulls were playing, when they started playing the games, finally, it would be like, hey, I got to dip. Like, I got to go. Like, Jordan's playing. And it was like must-see TV because you knew every single night it was a show. You were going to get like a crazy flip shot. He was going to dunk on someone. His tongue would be like, just the swagger. The guy had swagger. He was entertaining. You wanted to be him. You literally wanted to be like Mike. So I think for me, growing up with that, to see a LeBron phenomenon has been incredible too. from he was early on in high school, he was recruited, and it was another phenomenon, I'll admit, but it didn't feel the same. And again, I don't think anybody has a reach as far as MJ, as far as the world, global reach, as far as an athlete in Michael Jordan. So, yeah, a long-winded answer. I could have said it. I did say it right off the bat, but I wanted to give you my reasons. Yeah. And maybe I'm biased, Shout out my man Seti, because I know Seti's going to watch this. And he's going to say, yo, no, LeBron's the GOAT. We have our chat and we argue, and we go back and forth. But that's my opinion. I feel Jordan he hasn't been eclipsed yet as far as being a phenomenon that has influenced basketball. The shorts, right? You go the shorts, the shoes, wearing color-coded shoes, players sticking their tongue out when they're playing, things like that. And how many kids have been named Jordan since he's been
males and females?
I know a lot.
Right,
that's for sure.
So huge influence right there.
Listen, Drew, it's been, man, we went longer than we even planned on going, but it's because the conversation has been so good, man. We really appreciate you coming out. It took a while for us to get here, but it was definitely worth the wait. And yeah, man, we're so appreciative of you coming through, showing love. And yeah, man, thanks. We have to do it again at some point, because I feel like we could still go on and go on. Like,
no, seriously, this was super cool. Thank you so much for making the time.
Hey, it's a pleasure. Like, I envisioned coming on the show. I just wanted to kind of let people know some of my side of what my life has been in basketball, and it's been an incredible journey. It's been so much fun. There's been more ups than downs. There's been some downs, but I keep my head up. I know why I do it. I do it for the kids. I do it for the culture of basketball. I'm not doing it for money. And just to see what YAAACE Inspire now has done, it's inspiring, and the name is perfect for the program and all the guys involved. Shout out Jones and the rest of the crew, Devin. I look at everything here. I'm like, you guys have stood the test of time, and you're still innovating, and you're bringing more opportunities for kids. I hope the community realizes what YAAACE means for the community. It's bigger than basketball. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yes, sir.
I'm really proud of you, my dog, because what you've done in the media space, and to support you. You're out here hours upon hours. And young lady, man, like I said, anything you need, On Point is on your side. I see a bright future. I see a beautiful smile.
Definitely.
I see a smart woman. And we need more women leading.
Yes.
As we can see in the world, we need more women leading to turn things around. And no, it's all good. Like, I mean it, and really proud of you. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
And shout out the podcast, man. YAAACE Studio.
Hey.
Mama, I made it.
All right, well, thank you guys for tuning in. From myself, my co-host K.D.A.T, and our esteemed guest, Mr. Drew Ebanks.
My dog.
Yes, thank you for tuning in. Catch us on the next one.
Oh my gosh, this is so